Oswaldo Guayasamin, the Ecuadorian painter who portrayed the suffering of Latin American people. Oswaldo Guayasamin was born on July 6, 1919 in Quito, Ecuador, of native father and mixed-race mother, both of Quichua descendants. His family was poor and his father worked as a carpenter for most of his life.
When he was 7 years old, he began to make his first strokes. At 12 years old, he joined to the School of Fine Arts, where he surprised his teacher with his plays, which reflected the cruelty of a society where predominates the discrimination and the violence. He had a unique sensitivity to grasp the suffering of the oppressed people, the feel of the poorest people, the sadness he saw on the streets, love, passion, life, and death. Also, his work reflects the indigenous roots of Latin American people, the feelings, the dreams, and the struggles.
Los Niños Muertos is one of the first works that caused great impact. This painting describes a fact that marked the life of Guayasamin. When he was 13 years old, the so-called War of the 4 Days happened in Quito, where his only friend, Manjares, was hit by a stray bullet. The senseless death of his close friend left a deep impression on the consequence of men's violence. His name and indigenous ancestry, the poverty of his childhood, the murder of his friend, the crippling crisis on the 30s, the Mexican Revolution, the Spanish Civil War, effect that Guayasamin assumes an ideological consequence.
His first collection, called Huaycañan, which in Quichua means the way of weeping, relate the misery and suffering he saw in the Aboriginal peoples from Latin America during the trip he realized in 1945 from Mexico to Patagonia. He painted 103 paintings where he reflects mestizos, Indians, and black people with their expressions of sadness, happiness, treason, identity, and religion. José Clemente Orozco, Diego Rivera, Pablo Neruda, Fidel Castro are some recognized characters with Guayasamin shared and learned. His trips to China, Russia, Egypt, Greece, and other European countries also enriched him to create his own style, an indigenous art against dictatorships, against abuses of powerful and imperialist countries, and art for peace.
In 1976, he created the Guayasamin Foundation. Through it, he donated to Ecuador his entire artistic heritage, with which 3 museums are created: pre-Columbian art, colonial art, and contemporary art.
In the 80s begins a new series entitled Mientras viva siempre te recuerdo, known as La Ternura. It is a declaration of love to his mother, who supported him from the beginnings of his career as a painter, although his father was opposed. It is a tribute to Mother Earth, to the defense of life and human rights.
His death on March 10, 1999 was considered a great loss to Ecuador and occurred in the midst of a political and socio-economic crisis, with the day marked by strikes by indigenous people and other sectors of society. He is still considered as a national treasure.
In 2002, 3 years after his death, Guayasamin's masterwork, La Capilla del Hombre, was completed and opened to the public. Also, his ashes are under a tree called El Árbol de la Vida, which was planted by him in the house where he lived his last years.